It says we are live. Oh, and I'm hearing I'm hearing myself. Okay, but say we're live. So do your thing. We are part of the 99%. And if you share, it will beat these algorithms that it's trying to keep this information out. So I'm going to start the record button. We have so much to talk about today with Brian Clement. I normally say Anna Maria and Brian Clement, but Anna Maria is giving a lecture right now. So I'm just going to put the turn on the microphone and we're going to get started.
This meeting is being recorded.
Okay. So for those of you who are tuning in, as you know, the I Am the Solution is right around the corner. We have Brian Clement here. We're going to be talking today about food as medicine, food as reversing aging, food. So open your minds. And the best way to open your mind is to start dancing. So fasten your seatbelt after the dance is done, because we're going to learn and grow together. Here we go.
The Lillian McDermott Show.
We love, we fear, bridges we burn, we make mistakes, then we live and learn. When life gets tough, and it seems like your best ain't good enough. If you're in need of hope, you know where I'll be right here, right here. And when you need a friend, you can count on me. I'll be right here, waiting for you.
This is the place you can always turn to when you need a friend. The Lillian McDermott Show. To reach out to Lillian, visit her on the web at whenyouneedafriend.com. Now let's all learn together. Here's Lillian McDermott.
Hello, my listening and viewing friend. It's so nice we can meet each other on the air on this beautiful best day ever. And for those of you who are tuning into the classroom for the first time, please know I've been waiting for you. This is a safe place where you can go to when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide natural ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening and viewing friend, will feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life of your dreams. As you know, we're planning the I Am the Solution Natural Health Summit in January 21st, 2023. We are really excited to have phenomenal speakers, and included in these speakers, and I'll tell you a little bit more about them later on, is Brian and Anna Maria Clement. Anna Maria is giving a lecture right now, but we have Brian Clement, Dr. Brian Clement here in the classroom, and we're going to learn why is food so put aside as no big deal when it is a big deal. What can food do to our body? If we're eating the right foods, what can it do to our bodies? If we're eating the wrong foods, what will it do to our bodies? And so today I asked Brian Clement to come on to the classroom to share some of these tools that he's going to be talking about as well in the I Am the Solution Natural Health Summit. And since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I am grateful that Brian Clement is here to do just that. Welcome back to the classroom, Brian.
So nice to be with you again, Lillian.
It's always a pleasure to see you. So let's talk about your background and what led you to a new journey that has created your career, that's created your passion. Share a little bit about your background and why you're so passionate about nutrition.
Well, more than 50 years ago, I found myself as an American in an American body, and it wasn't a good body. It wasn't a 1957 Chevy. It was a crashed 1920 car. And I made a radical and permanent shift, now 52 years later, to an organic plant-based diet, which was at that point, I must say, unique. It was not easy to find health stores, but when you did, all of the purveyors, all of the owners had wonderful stories. You know, they would tell me about how they healed cancer and heart problems they had for 20 years and diabetes. And I started to realize in a short time that this was a totally different conversation than I had with my family and friends, that they anticipated that as you age, you get sick. And that was just part of being human. And these people were the living truth examples of that not being true. And then I was convinced by a woman who was in her 70s at that point that I had to get in this field. So I thought, well, what university do you go to? And she said, there's not a university on the planet Earth that teaches natural health care. And I was a little naive. I was, 20 years old, and I didn't realize that the healthcare system was hijacked 100 years ago by Rockefeller. And that what they pretty did is minimize everything that had existed on the planet Earth for the entire history of humanity. And they isolated it down to allopathic healthcare and made it slick and made it modern and took control of the education. And that's why people believed as they believed. Where my great grandmother's generation, if somebody was ill, the most instinctual woman in the village, the healer, was the one they called. Unless it was a very serious problem, doctors didn't have to get involved. Grandmothers knew this. Even in my own lifetime, when one would be ill, my grandmother would say to me, don't eat. You have to get a fever and it's going to help you. And they would give garlic. My one grandmother, who was Hungarian, would give me raw garlic. My other grandmother would give me lemon water. And so maybe they didn't understand the nutrients of this, but they understood that this was beneficial, and it was passed down from their parents in the 1800s.
Do you feel that we're missing out on this passing down of information? I learned from all you teachers that have been in the classroom that raw garlic is unbelievable. I get just a glimmer, just like a tiny little sore throat. And I apologize to everybody around me about my breath, but I'll eat some garlic and the next morning or within hours, that sore throat is gone. It doesn't progress beyond that. And, I learned that through teachers like you in the classroom, not from my parents. And I remember starve a fever, feed a cold. And now it's like, take a pill, take a pill, take a pill. And it doesn't really do exactly what our ancestors used to do. Like they would have all these different remedies and we would do it and we would get better. What do you think is the detachment when it comes to natural health?
Well, I think there was a landmark change in who we honor and respect. As I mentioned, the most instinctual woman was respected, not the one with the biggest education, the man who was the best farmer and maybe the best carpenter was respected. And somewhere in the early part of the 20th century, this was hijacked and common sense began to erode. And we started to believe that people with great educations knew more than the rest of us. We allowed this to become a process of subservience by us, to the point when you even have a sore throat or you stub your toe, you run immediately to the emergency room. You're completely out of control. You're not responsible for your life. And by the way, when you are, many of your friends and family mock you and say it's silly to take responsibility. So we've lost our common sense. We've lost our focus. We've lost our direction. And that shows in healthcare. I mean, when you have 57% of our children chronically ill today, that's frightening. When you have 57% of us going to contract cancer at some point in our life, that's frightening. When half of us die from heart attacks and strokes, that's frightening. When diabetes type 2 didn't exist 100 years ago, now it's one of the fastest growing diseases in the history of humanity, that's frightening. So rather than be frightened, be informed. And that's what we do. For all of these decades in Europe, as well as here at the Institute and around all our 50 states, have educated people to get back to the basics, fundamentals, the roots of our gift. And the gift is self-motivated, responsible living.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. And this is some of the information that you're going to be getting at the I Am the Solution Natural Health Summit. And so I want to encourage you to go to whenyouneedafriend.com and just wait for the pop-up to come up, click on it and get your tickets today. Now, for those of you who are saying, well, I can't afford, I live in Florida, but I can't afford to go to this event. We had a generous donor. So I would like for you guys to, if for those of you who are interested in a ticket to attend from this donor who paid for you, you need to text me at 407-373-5959. That's 407-373-5959 and claim those tickets, claim your health back. And, you know, you talk about responsibility and doing something different. When in life have you ever seen that following the crowd was more important than being a free thinker?
Very seldom. I mean, there's something to say about community, and we want to fit in, and that's part of our longevity and health. But to fit in without community, to fit in just to feel part of the gang, we've seen recently the results of that. And the fact of the matter is, it's disastrous in the vast majority of cases. So there's nothing wrong with wanting to have camaraderie and friendship and community. This is why churches and synagogues and temples have their place. That's the place they play the biggest role as far as I'm concerned. But the fact is, you've got to be able to think on your own because you have the wisdom, knowledge, energy, and integrity really is what it takes to do it. And if you just go along with what you've been told, you're not a free thinking person, nor are you living at a human level.
You're going to get the truth, and only the truth when you hear Brian and Anna Maria Clement speak. I know Brian is going to be speaking. I think Anna Maria is going to be introducing you and sharing some wonderful words as well. But here's the thing. Most people think, and I love how you said, rather than be frightened, be informed. I love that. I love that. And I will quote that from you from now on. But what I understand is that people don't even want to learn. They don't want to learn. They don't want to, they want to fit in more than they want to be healthy. And so what would you say to someone, because I say this all the time on my show, that, you know, it's not our DNA so much that we inherit. It's the family recipes. It's the way we eat together and act together and handle stress together and drink water or whatever it is that we're drinking. But that's how our genes express themselves, is whatever we put into it. What would you say to someone who is now watching this and would like to come to this event, and that they're thinking that they have diabetes because they inherited it?
I mean, let me just put it as clear on the subject of, I've never worked with a type 2 diabetic that adopted the lifestyle we give that didn't recover. So it's a 100% recoverable disorder. It's not even a disease. It's a lifestyle choice. I choose to have a lifestyle that gives me type 2 diabetes, or I choose not to have type 2 diabetes, just to show you how profoundly clear that is. But here's what I want to say to you. When you ask the question, we want to get along. We want to do what everyone else does. We want to be part of the so-called normal, which is completely abnormal today. How do you break that? Well, number one, you don't have to be ruthless and you don't have to be judgmental. Just because you have the gift that you may know something that these other people don't know or choose not to know at this point doesn't make you special. It just makes you a person who hopefully has enough empathy to be an example by doing these things. Yep. Not by being a talker or a yeller or a screamer or forcing people to agree with you. That's not your objective. Your objective is to be an example. Now, number two, this all gets back to what we spoke about earlier, Lillian. When you talk about responsibility, most people don't want it. Because when you think about responsibility, most people consider it as a burden, not as a gift, not as an encouragement to move forward and progress in your life and become happier and healthier, to become more successful in whatever you do. They look at it as, oh, some more I have to do. Well, if you think about your life and how much of it is broken, how many bad decisions you make, how many times you've laid around and watched TV rather than move and exercise, how many times you chose the wrong thing on the menu, how many times you took a drink when you knew it wasn't the best thing for you, and the list goes on. You pretty much have a life that a lot of it needs to be changed. So if you systematically, in a clear way, and I'll teach this on on Saturday. Look at the things that are the biggest obstacle, the biggest health deterrers and age creators that you're involved with, and work on one a week. Or if that's too much, one every 2 weeks. We diminish that and eventually phase it out. Now, can you imagine how much room you have because you phased out this big monster that's been taking charge of you, controlling you. And now we have room to have the responsibility. If I'm overwhelmed already from living a horrible life, I'm sick, my brain doesn't work, my immune system doesn't work, every cold that comes along I get, every flu that comes along I get, then of course you're overwhelmed. But if you take away the bad guy that's making you ill, the first one, you're going to want to do the second and the third. That's what I had to do. I mean, pretty much when I evaluated how much of my life was positive and productive, it was about 8 to 10% at one point. And so I had 90% of room to work with, and boy, it was a lot of fun.
And you know what? When you look at it as fun, it is fun. If you look at it as a burden. So, you know, as you know, my registered service mark is you can take a pill, you can take responsibility. And that word responsibility, as you said, has been given a bum rap. Responsibility means blame, shame, fault, duty. But if we take ownership of everything in our life, the good, the bad, and the ugly, the good news is that if we take ownership, which is the word responsibility, I'm not talking about blame, shame, fault, or duty. I'm talking about ownership, freedom, empowerment. If I take 100% responsibility for everything in my life, and I take that's what the I am the solution. If we take it and I say, if I created this, I can uncreate it. And so the I am and the I am the solution is the God in us. You know, it's the creation that we are able to co-create what life we want. And that's why it's so important that people understand that we are part of the solution. Because when we're, you know, everybody wants answers, Brian. And I know that when people go, I'm sure when people go to Hippocrates Wellness, they're going there, okay, do it for me, fix me, because that's the mentality of the world. Fix me. Don't make me do too much, because I just want it to be simple and I want to continue doing what I'm doing, but I want you to fix me. Yes. And that's the pill mentality. But the reality is if we were to adopt some of these things, I love the simplicity of just taking one thing a week or one thing every other week, whatever it is that you can handle, and get that down pat, and then add another thing to your life. It's amazing how life will change. And
it's
so
increasingly beneficial.
Yeah, I love that. And so if we created it, we can uncreate it. So I want to encourage you today to go to whenyouneedafriend.com, click on the I Am the Solution Natural Health Summit, and be part of this. It's not about just getting answers. Everybody has answers. Everybody has answers. But what are you going to do with those answers? That is why you are the solution. I am the solution, and I know Brian is the solution, right? We are all the solution. And so with that in mind, Brian, what are some of the talking points? What are people going to get from your talk? Because they're going to be waiting all day for you. They're going to be waiting all day for you. When you come, you're going to be able to sign books, answer questions. What are they going to walk away with as they listen to your talk on Saturday, the 21st?
What Anna Marie and I have learned with our combined 100 years in this field is that people don't want to hear me talk at them. They want to walk out with a Bible process, a program, a direction, and we'll give you that. That's been our work at Hippocrates for nearly 70 years. It's an educational institute as much as it's a therapeutic institute. And why we do that is fundamentally the only way it's going to work. So if in fact I can help you get well here, but then you go back home and don't remain well, how is that going to work? Why? You don't have an education. You don't have an inspiration. You don't have the ability and the knowledge to move forward. So you're lost and confused again, just like you were when you were getting sick or aging prematurely. Now, you said something that I completely concur with, the God within. One of my loves is theology, and I've studied all the theologies of the world. And in every single one, including Judeo-Christian theology, they tell you that God is within you. Men that control religion, unfortunately, wanted to tell you, come to me, I'll let you reach God. No, look within, speak to your heart. You talk to God. You don't have to go to a man to basically reach God. And this is why when we go back to the word responsible, you look at children, they can't wait to be responsible. They're excited about it. They're upset if you don't let them be responsible, if you don't give them, chances to learn. And so they're closer to God than you and I. We have this misconcept that as we get older, we get wiser. No, we get older, we become politically correct. We know what to say and not to say, so we look like we're sophisticated. A child says anything they feel because God's speaking out of them. They just came from God. And so that's our objective in this seminar and what I do here, to get you back to that voice that guides you and gives you confidence and takes away all of your doubts and your fears and your hopelessness, and you give up. And oh my God, the political system, and oh my God, things are bad, and oh my God, it's the economy. No, none of that is real. The only thing is real is you and the way that you perceive things. I'll never forget, many years ago, I was reading a book from a guy called Frankl, who was actually a psychologist they put into a concentration camp. Now, you know the story, but the listeners may not.
Yeah.
And when the Americans came in and liberated that camp, he was healthy, he was strong, and so they assumed that he collaborated with the Nazis. So they went around to all of the other poor victims, and they said, no, he was exemplary. He didn't like the Nazis. He didn't help the Nazis. So they finally went to him and said, how come you're healthy and strong? He said, everyone here thought they were starving. I thought I was fasting. Now, can you imagine what a mindset does? I see it every day here. That's why everyone gets psychotherapy here at Hippocrates.
Yep.
When you change a mindset, you change a life, you change the future, you change the so-called destiny that's in your own hand because God's within you. So that's what you can get, but you've got to be open, you've got to be ready. And so, I know that, Florida is certainly ready, that we have more and more residents from all over the country coming in here because there's a sense of freedom here and our weather and the sunshine. And that's why we moved to Hippocrates here back in 1987 from Boston, where we resided for 35 years. And I can tell you, with that said, you come to Rockledge this weekend on Saturday, and not only will Anna Marie and I take your hand and guide you back to you so that you take charge and don't whine anymore and don't complain and don't be a victim and don't think genetics made you sick. Understand this is all up to you, epigenetics. You're going to hear other experts in their field, and most important, Lillian, who's an inspiring figure that I love and I trust. There's very few people. I know thousands of people who are in this field of media on this, not as committed as Lillian.
Thank you. Thank you. It's an honor to be able to present this. Yeah, I'm going to be one of the speakers and I'll be talking about the mindset. I want people to open their minds because some of the things that we're going to hear is going to be totally against what we've learned, that we've been programmed to believe that we are not enough. And so we're going to start from the very beginning talking about the mindset and why these beliefs were formed and how we can liberate those beliefs so that we can start rewriting the program and empowering ourselves to learn new truths and be able to say, okay, you mean I don't have to diet? You mean I just need to change my lifestyle and make better choices? You mean that life is a frequency and God gave us the gift of energy and frequency and all of that? You mean I can use those frequencies in my body and it will help me heal? Oh, wow. Isn't that amazing? And then we're going to have Dr. Thomas Levy, who's going to be talking about the synergies between vitamin C and hydrogen peroxide nebulization. Susan Whitaker is going to be talking about how EMFs affect our body. And Dr. Jennifer Grameth, who has gone to Hippocrates for Doctor's Day, she's going to be there to talk about the lymphatic system and how that is such an important system to help clean it out, how to do that. And so we're going to start learning the truth about health, which is we have the power. We
Oh,
have
yeah.
the power. And it's not about the doctor fixing us. It's about us choosing the path, right? I see you nodding your head, right? Yeah.
Well, the amazing thing, I've had medical doctors work with me for my entire 50 years. So we have doctors here on campus, and all of them at some point, a year, 2 years, 3 years in, come to me and shake their head and say, for 40 years or 30 years or 45 years, I've been a physician. I've never seen healing even vaguely close to what I see here at Hippocrates. And, they humble and they realize, now, not to say they don't have a role, medical doctors as humans are probably genuinely interested in helping when they enter medical school.
Sure.
And they don't realize it's a complete hijacking of their mind and spirit. And they whittle them down till they are just prescription writers. They're glorified pharmacists. So the answer at the end of the day is always take another drug. That, by the way, became the #3 killer in America.
Mhm.
The only thing that kills you more than pharmaceutical medicine is cancer, which in part is pharmaceutical medicine, and heart attacks and strokes, which is out of control lifestyles. 97% of heart attacks and strokes can be completely prevented through change in lifestyle mediation. 100% of type 2 diabetes can be wiped out with lifestyle measures. And I believe that the vast majority of cancers can be prevented and wiped out through lifestyle measures. That's what we've been showing here for 7 decades. That's what we're best known for globally. Not because we heal people of a serious disease called cancer, because we support the body that heals itself.
The body
It's that
heals
simple.
itself.
But nobody makes money in that. That's the problem.
No, but the thing is that we don't heal anybody. We heal
That's it.
ourselves. The body heals itself. I don't know if you know who Dr. Lee Cowden is.
Oh,
But
sure.
we just did a M-Cube detox experience, which is the mold, metals, microbes, and it's a 12-week program. We just did it together. But he said, how I love to quote people and I love to give people credit. One of the things that really pierced my heart was, in his soft-spoken word, Dr. Lee Cowden said, Lily, a lot of people spend a lot of money on trying to heal their body, fix the body. And something's wrong, they want to fix it. And they looking at the exterior. But he goes, it's amazing how expensive that can be. But when you take somebody and they retrain their brain and they heal and forgive and they start softening the way they believe a certain way, he said, it's amazing how inexpensively the body will reverse disease.
That's true. The body is built to heal. Nature is perfect. The imperfection is a human perception. So all you have to do is realize that you have this remarkable system that even the best of science today, we're just beginning to scratch the surface of. An immune system that's proof of God. Genetic system that basically you can change in a second, less than a second from your attitude. And this is not a joke. We're not talking about some exaggerated comment. This is factual statements today. I'm writing a book right now called Quantum Human that literally talks about the future of humans, the future of medicine, how we're going to easily live to 200 years old.
Wow.
Because it's going to be a combination of lifestyle choices with the greatest of science of the day. And we're realizing molecules play a big role and proteins do, and we can actually now take them within our body and utilize them. Electromagnetic, as you know, we have an entire, the only one in the world, energy medicine department that every one of the guests get lasers and electromagnetic frequencies that resonate with healthy cell frequencies. So when you have a weakened cell because you have a disorder that you've created from poor lifestyle choices, you can now jumpstart it like the battery in a car so that it no longer is enduring the illness that you've created. So, I mean, there's so many avenues that we've been employing here for so long with clinical research to prove it. It is sad to me that out there people don't know this, that people don't have any of this information. And even the so-called natural guys, let's be honest with you, most of them are money-making machines. They're telling you all you need is this, all you need is that. The reality, you need a complete overhaul of your lifestyle and you need an enhancement of your spirit. That's what we really need. And once you do that, you make good decisions because you're clear in thought. You see things the way you should, not the way you perceive them.
You know, I'm really excited about Saturday, the January 21st, 2023 at the I Am the Solution Natural Health Summit. So go to whenyouneedafriend.com. When you go to whenyouneedafriend.com, there'll be a pop-up and it'll say, I am the solution. Click on there. While you're there, please register, subscribe, and be a part of our community. And also like and follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. We've got Telegram now that's live. You can hear us live on our website. There's so many different ways, Odyssey, BitChute, that you can join us. All podcasts, by the way. You can hear me on Amazon and Google and iTunes and all those. So just whatever way that you can learn these truths, do it. Go there. If you can join us for the I Am the Solution Natural Health Summit, please do it. The best way, if you can afford to go and you can pay for the ticket, do it. If you enter Lilly, Lilly, all lowercase, 001, you will get $24 off your admission, your ticket, whether you're a VIP or not. If you are saying, you know, I'd like to go, I'm hearing what you're saying and I am ready to make changes, but right now this amount is not feasible for me. We're grateful for a donation that will pay for your ticket. And you can text me at 407-373-5959. Let's have a discussion and hopefully you will be able to attend the event. We're going to have Dr. Thomas Levy is going to be talking about vitamin C and hydrogen peroxide nebulization and more stuff too, how to help your body after maybe getting a virus. We'll have Dr. Jennifer Grammeth. She is a naturopath. She will be there and she'll be talking about the lymphatic solution, the lymph solution. Susan Whitaker, she'll be talking about EMFs, and she does talk about quantum physics as well, and how our bodies are just those little antennas that we need to replace, those frequencies, how to replace those frequencies in your body. And finally, Anna Maria and Brian Clement will be waiting all day for them, because they're going to teach us how food is medicine and how we can make these choices. And so if you want to attend that, please click on at whenyouneedafriend.com. While you're there, check out the website, check out our sponsors, support the sponsors the way that they're supporting us. And also check out the Shop Now bag. You can find so many different ways, spirit, mind, and body, that you can take your life to that next level naturally. And last, you can become a donor. You can become a donor and you can donate $1 or $1,000, $5 a month, whatever you can do to help the classroom grow. Please consider using us as a form of tithing as well, whether it's time, your talent, your treasure. All will be appreciated. If this is the first time that you are learning about Hippocrates Wellness, I'm so glad that you tuned in today. Because this is what you're going to be getting in the conversation with Brian and Anna Maria. They're going to be giving us a talk and they're going to help us understand how we've been lied to, and that it is very simple to turn your life around. No different than turning the wheel in your car. You make a choice to turn the wheel in the car. And so let's talk a little bit more about your conversation at the I Am the Solution Natural Health Summit. What do you want people to know today that would want them to come to our event on the 21st?
Well, number one, I'm so happy and proud of you, Lillian, that you don't put any walls up. And you're saying that anyone that wants to come, because now somebody's helping you facilitate this. Mm-hmm. And the facility in Rockledge, where it's going to be held, I hear is beautiful. And so you want to come because you're going to be with like-minded people. People who, by the way, are not looking at mainstream media and believing the news that is funded by the pharmaceutical companies is honest and clear. It's not people who are also skeptics. We're not skeptics, we're optimists. We're people who see the future already here, rather than saying, oh my God, we have to have pain and suffering and time. No, I'm seeing all of this in real life time at this point. And so if you want to join the group of people now that is changing kindly with empathy the future of humanity, this is the event to come to. And we're not messing around. And this is a quiet, peaceful political movement, as was Gandhi, as was Martin Luther King, that will inevitably win. And when something is wrong as our lifestyles are in this country and around the Western world today, it only can be corrected. And organically, the universe will take charge, with us or without us. So either you're going to join the human race, and by the way, be productive and contributory, or universe will take you away. And it does it with disease that you've chosen. You actually don't know. You're going to a supermarket, a department store, and choosing your course. So do you choose a course of cancer, premature aging, heart attacks, strokes, diabetes, multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's? We now know multiple sclerosis is a chronic fatigue virus. We now know Parkinson's is from a particular herbicide and decaffeinated coffees and teas. These are not things that you hear in the mainstream, but real science tells us this today. We know that, by the way, the average lifespan of a person, if we were positive emotionally and dietarily, and we exercised and we had great community and we loved our families and we loved and loved to love, would be 140 years, as Harvard told us some 30 years ago. I'm going to be giving you some of the data on Saturday. I don't talk small ever. I reference everything, because believe me, the powers that be from the death and dying group on the other side would like to make us look like we don't know what we're talking about. Sadly, they made themselves clearly look like they don't know what they're talking about. And the end result is suffering by the human race. We're anti-suffering. We're about happiness. We're about joy. And I love what you say in the early part of the show, where you say, to open your mind, dance. And that sounds like it's silly. It's true. To heal people here, I bring a rock band in and they dance for 2 hours. Every Friday night, they have a disco party at the pool here, 52 weeks a year. Well, you say, what's that have to do with healing? Everything. If you sit around and just think, I'm sick, I'm old, guess what? You're sick and old. But if you go back to that time in your life where you were free, happy, open, again, because you were young most of the time, you were close to God at that point, you're going to remember what real well-being is and the joy of happiness is. That's what people are missing. You want the joy of happiness come, we're going to infuse you with it as a group. And Lillian, you're going to participate. You're going to be the torchbearer of that.
Yeah, this is our first of many. I've been wanting to do this for a while. It was interesting. We had Dr. Bradley Nelson. We just did an event with Dr. Bradley Nelson here in Cape Canaveral, Florida. But right before the event, I got a call from, we found out that the venue had canceled. They were closing, and they did not do anything to help prepare me for the event that I was going to be doing with Dr. Brad in a month and a half. So I spent a lot of time searching, but what a blessing that was, because I was able to find the venue for the 21st, and I was able to find a wonderful venue for Dr. Brad. And I know Caroline Bryan was there. She represented Hippocrates very well. And it was an amazing event. And I know in my heart that whoever is going to walk in through those doors, and I've been praying for every single one, they will be blessed in one way or another, whether it's meeting someone they needed to meet or hear something they needed to hear.
We'll be blessed by their presence.
We all will. That's right. We are all.
I always say to people, you're being cheated. There's one of me on the stage and 100 or 500 of you out there. I'm getting 500 loving thoughts.
Isn't that wonderful?
Listen, let me ask you, this starts at 9 o'clock in the morning. What time in Rockledge does it start on Saturday?
Okay, so the registration, the vendors are going to be there getting ready. They'll be ready by 8 o'clock in the morning. So I want to encourage everybody to get there at 8 to register and find their seat, and also make some friends. But the event starts at 9. And we will have a whole day, and where our speakers speak until 4:30, 5 o'clock. And then we are going to have some time to go back because we have some wonderful vendors. So any of you are in pain, we have first alternative therapies there with a Vasia product and a pulse electromagnetic field bed that they're going to be helping you understand how the body can reverse that pain without taking a pill. I'm a perfect example. Yes, I'm a perfect example of that. And I'll tell you guys all about that at the event. We're going to have we're going to have natural products. We're going to have vendors with food, and it's just going to be a wonderful time for all of us. For those of you who would like to come, and I'm seeing some people say, I wish I could be there. We are going to be recording everything. And then once we put everything together and put it together in a package, we'll bring it for you guys to purchase later on. But someone volunteered to record it. But there's, as you know, Brian, it costs a lot of money to put it all together. And so we're going to have a group of people, hopefully. And if it's good enough, we'll have it there so that everybody can watch it. When you talk about all the research you've done, and I know that everybody's going to have an opportunity to get their book signed by you and Anna Maria. You said that you've been working on a book just recently. Will it be ready for the event? Do you have a new book?
It just may be. I know it's on Amazon, and hopefully we'll have it with us by Friday, but if not, people can order it. That self-healing diet, it's chock filled with our clinical research of 7 decades, but most important, backed by every major university in the world. As a matter of fact, I had Zach Bush. Three people do the forward. 3 people do the forward. That was the first time I said, why not? All of them want to do the forward. We call it generations. And we started with Bernie Siegel, one of my heroes. He's in his 90s now. Dr. Colin Campbell, one of my favorite scientists, if not my favorite on the planet. And Zach Bush, who is to me one of the youth doctors that really has hit it right on the nose. He completely gets it. And what we have to understand is that the world is changing, just the powers that be wanted to stop changing. So they're putting roadblocks in. They're creating fear in you and the society. They're actually lulling you into the fast food restaurants. So that, by the way, then you'll have to take the medicines. That, by the way, doesn't work at the end of the day. And this is what people don't realize. They look at you as pocketbooks, not as human beings, not as citizens. And we know this. This isn't an opinion. This is a fact. And when people can go beyond that, when people actually liberate themselves and become whole again and become happy, guess what? There's nobody on the planet that can tell you what you need to do except your heart, your soul, and God in your heart and soul.
So if somebody comes to you and say, well, I have diabetes. My mother had diabetes. My mother before her had diabetes. And I was told by my doctor, I will always have to take this medication. What would you tell them right away?
I would say the problem is families tend to eat the same way, live the same way, and do the same stupid things.
They inherit the family recipes. Yeah.
Yeah. My mother died as a diabetic related problem, but I love this woman. She was my mother. She was the greatest woman I ever met in the world, except my wife. She was equal. And the fact of the matter is, she ate her way to the grave. My brother, in his early 50s, died, left 2 children and a wife, but he ate his way to the grave. He had fatty liver. Now, look, this is my mother and my brother. They could have come here for free and lived at my house and lived this way. They chose the death and dying path because that's what they want you to believe out there. The norm is the death and dying path. The norm is not being healthy and vibrant at 100 years old. Being sexy when you're 85, being joyous throughout your life. If you're happy too much, people think you're on drugs today, rather than isn't it wonderful that a person's happy? So everything is skewed. And unless you start to wake up and realize that they want to hold you under the thumb, as a Rolling Stone said back in the 60s, basically, you're always going to be under the thumb.
So what would you say to somebody that would say, how can I reverse my disease?
Well, easy. I mean, most diabetics are off insulin within a few months. That you have to give up the #1 cause of diabetes, animal fat. So it's saturated fat that smothers a cell. Once you put this gook around the cell, sugar, which by the way is a fuel the cell uses, can't go in, so remains in the bloodstream. That's called blood sugar. Now, once you destroy the pancreas and it's not secreting insulin in the way it should, then what happens? Every bit of sugar that you're adding to sugar that's already floating around because you smother cells that can't utilize the sugar starts to degrade your nervous system, your organs, your eyes, your limbs. This is death that's very slow and very painful and totally 100% unnecessary. And so don't tell me it's genetic. The doctors literally should be challenged that say that. It is epigenetic. Again, this is not a problem you should be having. But again, you're addicted, as I was. I was severely obese at one point. I was addicted to animal fat. I was addicted to sugar. I was addicted to salt. I was addicted to overeating. Why? Because if you don't get the nutrition, you constantly are starving. Even though you're overeating like I was. I never stopped eating, but I was starving. So you don't stop, and you keep putting void calories in that are rich with deadly chemicals, preservatives, dyes, genetic modification a day. You completely screw up the immune system and the mind. We now know that 90% of your mind is determined by healthy bacteria in the intestine. Listen to what I'm saying, people. This is not a small thing. This may be the most important thing that you've heard in the last 5 years. Your healthy bacteria within your intestinal tract determines if you're happy, sad, depressed, schizophrenic, whatever the disorder it would be. But let's hope happy is what you're looking for. But very few people I know are truly happy. They laugh a lot, but they're sad. And the fact is, happiness is, as Mahatma Gandhi said, is realizing that all you need is a step away and something that is abundant as long as you understand that. That's all it is. Happiness is a step away. But if you start to fuel the body with disease and disorder and chemicals, and the brain chemistry, the serotonin receptor site to be exact, doesn't switch on to the positive, you become negative. You become groggy at best and diseased psychologically at worst. And look at our children today. They are dysfunctional. They made up diseases. ADD, there's no such thing as ADD. It's a dysfunctional brain. Look at the work of Dr. Senna out of MIT. We're going to talk about her. She basically says autism is coming from this. And number one is genetically modified foods, high fructose corn syrup. Yes, vaccines can have part to do with that. It's not the only thing, though. How about laminated floors? You know, floors that look like they're wood, but they're cheap because they're plastic. They outgas. They give you autism. Not we think they give you autism. This is MIT talking. How come you don't know this? How come Brian Clement in Rockledge on Saturday has to come where, by the way, I've gotten calls. People are coming from the West Coast, from Tampa, Sarasota, from Marcos Island, from Miami, from Jacksonville, from Fort Lauderdale, from West Palm Beach. You can come. This is a short drive.
We actually have somebody coming from Virginia.
Well, there it is. There you,
I'm
that's
really
the longest.
Yeah,
I mean,
we may have to give them an award, although we have a speaker coming from Oregon, so I don't know. So
the people listening today think, gee, I'd like to come, but get rid of the but. You come. You're sitting on your butt. You're not doing the right thing. You're not proactive. So you sit around and whine and complain and think it's genetics or it's old age or whatever the stupidity is in your head. And the reality is, come there. We're going to infuse you with so much knowledge and so much truth and so much energy. You'll be irrefutably changed in the right direction.
and who knows what's next? Because, you know, that's the, you know, I heard Wayne Dyer say a long time ago, and he heard it from Max Planck or read it from Max Planck, that Max Planck says, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.
That's right.
And when I heard that for the first time, it was probably 35 years ago. When I heard that for the first time, it made me gasp. Like, I can choose to change the way something looks. Like,
Exactly.
this is my hand. This is my hand. But if I do this, this is still my hand. And I'm changing the way I'm looking at life. It is amazing how life changes. And as a life coach, as a certified life coach, people say, I want to change my husband. I want to change my daughter. I want to change my kids. I want to change my, and I'm like, okay, all we can do is work on you. Let's
That's
work
right.
on you. Because
That's right.
once you change, the world changes.
That's
So
right.
let's go back into this. You had mentioned something that when we try to do something good for ourselves, we get bullied and ridiculed and
Yeah.
mocked.
You're a health nut, you're crazy, you're extreme. They come up with it. And what it is, I used to be angry at the people until I matured in my 30s and realized these are the people who are most desperately needing what they're resisting. So just like when I was a boy, little girls had cootie bugs. I still don't know what cootie bugs are, but you all had them. And I realized when my first love, I fell in love at 12. Cootie bugs were my way of feeling really weird around girls. That was it. And it wasn't they had cootie bugs. I was having cootie bugs. And I didn't quite register what that thing was. When I was 12 and fell in love, that's it. So people are actually thinking things are ooky and bad and strange and odd because you're feeling you really want to do it. It's resonating with you. There's not a word that we've said on this show, or certainly not a word in Rockledge on this weekend from 9 o'clock till 6 o'clock at night that we're going to tell you that will not resonate with you. Because there's nothing that we will ever tell you that doesn't have common sense and practicality and massive science behind it. And so I am fortunate. I get to universities and I'm often on panels where I challenge the academic doctors there. And I'm not out to win. I'm not that competitive, but always at the end, the audience comes up and says, unfortunately, you made those doctors look like Swiss cheese. Not because I intellectually knew more than them. It's just what I said resonated. And that's what we're going to do with you.
And that's what's going to happen on January 21st. It's just a few days. Get your tickets today. And especially the generous donor that has said, if those of you who cannot afford to go and you are like-minded, you believe in this, and you just want to use some of these funds, please text me at 407-373-5959. We're going to talk about it. We're going to give you a code that you'll be able to purchase, and it will be affordable to you. And so, and if you can afford to come, then why haven't you bought your tickets?
So why can't they afford to come? If they went out to a fast food restaurant, they pay more than coming to this life-changing, permanent life-changing event. And
not only that, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. If people are eating fast food and they're just going through life saying that lack, how much funds do they gather when they have to go to the ER?
Oh, hey, let me tell you, it's a lot more expensive. And isn't Rockledge only 30 minutes or so from the Orlando area?
It's about 45 minutes to an hour, depending on where they are. But yeah, it's just a drive away. It's
if you drove with me, it would be 30 minutes.
Okay. Well, so depending on where you are in Orlando. If you're in Lake Nona, it's not far away. What is your life worth? What is your life worth? And this is an opportunity to listen to some wonderful teachers, change your life. Go to whenyouneedafriend.com, click on to the pop-up and research it. If you have to research it, do the research, and then click and register. If you want one of the discounted or the donated tickets, you can text me at 407-373-5959. Final words before we go, Brian, because I know that you have a busy day today, and I really appreciate you taking the time to speak to us today.
Well, it's always nice to be with you and everyone that listens to you. What I will say to people is that this is the beginning of a new year. And you now have an opportunity not to create a resolution that's going to fail, but to resolve your life. So this isn't about one resolution. Let's resolve the issues in your life that hold you back from being healthy, happy, productive contributors. And that's what the whole objective is. We have no other objective than to support you to create more healthy human beings, to act as examples for the rest of us to see and to hopefully mimic. So we'll see you all at Rockledge on Saturday morning at 8:30, 9 o'clock. We're going to be there till 6, and thank
6 or
God we're going to have healthy food there. We don't have to go out to somewhere to eat. It's going to be a beautiful, beautiful weather. I've looked it up. And so we'll see you there. Be
That's
well.
right. At the I Am the Solution Natural Health Summit at the Space Coast Health Foundation in Rockledge, Florida. It's just a couple of days away. Get your tickets today. Thank you so much, Brian, for being in part of the classroom today. Give my love to Anna Maria. We'll look forward to seeing her there too. And please remember, we'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. This is Lillian McDermott and Dr. Brian Clement wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever.
Ever.
There you go.
That's the echo.
The opinions and advice expressed on the Lillian McDermott radio show are intended for the individual callers and guests on the program and are presented to our wider audience solely for general educational purposes. Please act responsibly and consult personally with your own medical, psychological, or nutritional expert before taking any steps to improve your life.
I absolutely love that man. I love Anna Maria. I love Brian. I want to thank you for being part of this this broadcast. Last week we had all the other speakers. We had Dr. Thomas Levy, Susan Whitaker, and Dr. Jennifer Grameth in the classroom. And since then, we have a new speaker. She'll be speaking for about 15 minutes. Her name is Dr. Renee Hahn. And I wish we could have her speak longer, but she's going to blow us all away as well. And there's so many different things. Every booth is going to give away something, the swag bag. I'm still praying for those bags to arrive, and I know they will arrive just on time. And every booth is going to give something to all of you. And but most importantly, like if you put in Lily 001, you'll save $24 to get in. If you text me and you want to be part of the donated tickets, you'll get all that money back. But what you will save is your life. So it's your choice. It's your choice what you want to save. And let me look real quick to see if I see any cues. Yep, he's a straight shooter, that's for sure. So I would like for you all to come. We're going to talk about depression, anxiety. We're going to be talking about all those things. I'm going to be talking about the mindset at the beginning, and hopefully setting us on our mindset will help us open ourselves to some new truths. And if some of those new truths don't resonate with you, just put it off to the side. Maybe down the road, maybe they will make sense. But maybe, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And if you hear something that doesn't resonate with you, just move on. Listen to something else that might. And then that will be the start of your journey. And so I look forward to seeing all of you at Rockledge, Florida on January 21st. The I Am the Solution Natural Health Summit is such an honor to be a part of it. I am just getting so excited. I hope you're as excited as I am. Tell all your friends, share this broadcast, because maybe someone lives in Florida or maybe wants to drive to Florida. And maybe they just could use the help with a donation. That is, just let them know that to text me at 407-373-5959. Go to whenyouneedafriend.com to learn more. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Thank you so much for showing up today.